Have you ever watched a mother uninvite her own daughter from Thanksgiving, not over an argument, but because her job didn't sound impressive enough for company? 5 days before the holiday, my mom called with something she called a simple update. Your sister is bringing her rich boyfriend to dinner. She'd rather you not come. Your blue-collar teaching career might embarrass her. I told her I understood. Then I hung up. What none of them realized was that I had been quietly overseeing a $15 million inheritance, the very fortune my flawless sister was counting on to fund her dream wedding. And when they uncovered the truth 5 days later and showed up at my door in a panic, everything shifted in ways none of us saw coming. My name is Thora Mitchell. I'm 32 years old. This is what happened. If you're listening, subscribe and tell me where you're tuning in from. The call came on Sunday, November 24th, at exactly 6:47 p.m. I remember the time because I was grading essays on the Progressive Era and had just written excellent analysis across Marcus Thompson's paper on labor reform. The irony didn't register until later. I was praising a student for understanding workers' rights while my own family was about to remind me exactly where I ranked in theirs. Thora, my mother began, her tone wrapped in that familiar mix of artificial warmth and quiet steel I'd known my whole life. We need to talk about Thanksgiving. I set down my red pen. In the Mitchell household, those words never led anywhere good. What about it? Well, a pause. The kind that cushions an impact. Vivian is bringing Derek to meet everyone. You know how significant this is. Derek Hartwell. I'd heard his name at least 400 times over the past 3 months. CEO of Hartwell Capital, a private equity firm managing more than $400 million. Vivian's entry ticket into the life she believed was meant for her. That's wonderful, I said, and I meant it. Despite everything, I wanted her happiness. I'm excited to meet him. Another pause, longer this time. That's actually the issue, my mother said. Vivian feels it might be better if you didn't attend this year. The words sank slowly, like stones disturbing still water. I felt the ripples move through me, cold and familiar.
I'm sorry.
It's not personal, Thora. Derek comes from a very specific world: finance, investments, high society. And she hesitated, though we both knew she'd chosen the word already. Your career path might send the wrong impression. My career path. As though I'd drifted into teaching by mistake instead of clawing my way through certification while juggling 2 jobs to pay for grad school. Mom, I have a master's degree in education. I've taught for 10 years. Exactly. Her tone sharpened, as if I'd proven her point. 10 years, and you're making what, 50,000? 58. Not that it mattered. In her accounting, it would never be enough. Vivian's a marketing director now. She works with investors, wealthy clients. She needs Derek to see that our family fits into his world. I thought about the previous Thanksgiving, how she introduced me to her book club friends. This is Thora, my oldest. She teaches. That pause thick with disappointment. Then, Vivian works in corporate marketing, her voice lifting with pride so subtle it could be mistaken for coincidence. It wasn't. I remember the email 3 months earlier asking for help with Vivian's engagement party. Since you don't have a family of your own to support, I'm sure you can contribute a little more. $3,000 should cover flowers and part of the venue. I wired the money that same afternoon without protest. Teachers earn 26.4% less than other college-educated professionals. I knew that statistic well. I taught my students about systemic inequality, about how society assigns value to certain professions and dismisses others. I just hadn't expected to become the lesson inside my own family. Mom, I said carefully, I could stop by after dinner. Just to say hello. Vivian was very clear, she replied, her voice hardening. She doesn't want you there at all. Please don't make this difficult. As though I were the one creating the wound. I looked around my 1-bedroom apartment in Somerville, the place I'd lived in for 6 years. The second-hand sofa I'd recovered myself. Shelves sagging with history books and lesson binders. The tiny kitchen where I packed lunches at 5:30 a.m. because cafeteria prices added up. This was the life that embarrassed them. I understand. I said automatically. 2 words polished smooth by years of repetition. I understood when she forgot my birthday but threw Vivian a surprise party. I understood when my promotion to department chair passed without acknowledgement while Vivian's office upgrades sparked a 20-minute discussion. I understood when I was left out of the Christmas card photo because the photographer charged extra per person. I understand. The costliest phrase I'd ever learned. Good, my mother said, relief flooding her voice. I knew you'd be reasonable. You always are. We hung up. I sat in the quiet, watching daylight fade from my window. Marcus Thompson's essay still glowed beneath my lamp. Eventually, I opened my laptop. There was a folder I hadn't touched in months. Grandma Eleanor. Inside sat an email from Margaret Caldwell, attorney at Caldwell and Associates, dated November 20th. Subject: Annual Trust Review. Eleanor Mitchell Trust. I closed the laptop again. But that night, for the first time in 10 years, I didn't cry before falling asleep. Instead, I felt something hollow where my patience used to live. And in that emptiness, something new began to take root. All through Monday, the conversation replayed in my mind. I stood before my third-period class explaining the causes of the Great Depression while my mother's words echoed beneath every sentence. Your career might send the wrong message. I was teaching about financial collapse, about families losing everything, while my own considered my salary a liability. Ms. Mitchell? Jasmine Reyes raised her hand. Sharp, perceptive. Are you okay? You seem distracted. I forced a smile. Just thinking about how history repeats itself, Jasmine. Sometimes in unexpected ways. That evening, I weighed the price of staying silent. If I accepted this exclusion quietly, what would come next? Easter? Thora, Derek's family will be there. Maybe skip this one. The wedding? It's very intimate, very exclusive, you understand. Birthdays. Anniversaries. Milestones unfolding without me. I'd become a ghost in my own lineage. And there was money. There was always money. $3,000 for Vivian's party. $2,500 loaned for my father's fishing boat repairs. Never mentioned again. The quiet assumption that because I was unmarried and childless, my income belonged to everyone. If I stayed silent, the requests would grow. And I'd keep paying because that's what the family disappointment does. Buys a seat she's not truly offered. Around 9, my phone buzzed. Sweetheart, I'm sorry about Thanksgiving. Your mother says it's for the best. I love you, Dad. Harold Mitchell, 63. Retired accountant. Professional bystander. He'd never defended me. Not once. But he always said he loved me. Love without action. I didn't respond. Instead, I reopened my laptop. The email from Margaret Caldwell sat waiting. My grandmother Eleanor had died 2 years earlier at 85. She was the only one who truly saw me. She drove 3 hours to attend my master's graduation when my parents sent a card. She took me to dinner when I got my first job and told me she was proud. When I admitted how invisible I felt at family gatherings, she squeezed my hand and said, "You're not invisible, Thora. You're surrounded by people who've forgotten how to look." I didn't grasp what she'd done for me until she was gone. I opened the email. Dear Miss Mitchell, as part of our annual review, the Eleanor Mitchell Irrevocable Trust currently holds assets totaling $15,247,891.33. As sole trustee, you maintain full discretionary authority over distributions under Section 4.2. Please confirm your intentions for the upcoming fiscal year by December 1st. Any modifications or conditions must be documented before that date. I'm available to meet at your convenience. Best regards, Margaret Caldwell. $15,247,891.33. Vivian was the only beneficiary. I was the sole trustee, the one who decided when, how, and if she ever received a cent. My grandmother had done it deliberately. Shortly before she passed, she told me, Vivian isn't cruel, Thora. She's just never had to earn anything. I want you to teach her. It's the only way she'll learn. I'd kept the trust secret for 2 years. From everyone. partly because I didn't want money shaping how they treated me, partly because I wasn't ready to hold that kind of authority. But now, sitting alone after being barred from Thanksgiving because my teacher's salary might tarnish the image, I reconsidered. Not vengeance. That wasn't what Grandma wanted. And it wasn't what I wanted. But boundaries. Consequences. The right to exist in my own family, without apology. I closed the laptop and stared at the city lights beyond my window. I'd guarded this secret for 2 years. Maybe it was time to let it breathe. Thanksgiving arrived gray and bitterly cold. I woke at 7 out of habit. Even on holidays, my internal clock refused to rest. I brewed coffee and tried not to picture the dinner happening 15 miles away. By noon, I'd graded 32 essays. By 3, I'd reorganized my bookshelf by era. By 5, I admitted productivity couldn't fill the emptiness. I microwaved turkey breast, spooned instant potatoes onto a plate, opened canned cranberry sauce. The saddest holiday meal I'd ever assembled. I ate standing at the counter because sitting at the table felt absurd for one. At 8:47 p.m., my phone lit up. A text from Vivian. A photo attached. "Thanks for understanding, sis. Derek loved dinner." He said, "Your family is so polished, lol." The image showed my family around my parents' mahogany table, the one Grandma had gifted them 30 years ago. My mother glowing at the head. My father smiling tightly. Vivian radiant beside a dark-haired man in a costly sweater. 4 place settings. No empty chait. So polished. I zoomed in. My mother wore the pearl earrings I'd given her for her 60th birthday. Vivian draped in a cashmere wrap worth more than my rent. And in the background, barely visible, sat Grandma's silver tea service, the one she promised me because I was the only grandchild who helped polish it. Of course, my mother kept it. At 9:15, another message. "Sweetheart, I'm sorry. Your mother thought this was best. I love you." I typed 3 responses. Deleted them all. Instead, I called Rachel Torres, the AP English teacher at my school. We'd started the same year, survived endless meetings and bad coffee together. She was the only one who knew about the trust. "Tell me you're not alone," she said. "I am. Thora." Equal parts affection and frustration. "I invited you to my sister's. Maria cooked for 20 people. I needed space." To process what? That your family's awful? That's not new. I told her about the photo, the text, the missing chair. She was quiet. Then, gently, "When are you going to stop letting them do this?" "I don't let them. You do. You fund their parties. You answer every call. You apologize for existing. They keep taking because you keep giving. What am I supposed to do? You have options." I knew exactly what she meant. I've never wanted to use it like that. "There's a difference between leverage and accountability," she said softly. "Your grandmother didn't name you trustee by mistake. She saw something. Maybe it's time you see it too." After we hung up, I opened the trust document again. 47 pages of legal language. This time, I read slowly. Section 4.2, Paragraph 1. The trustee retains sole and absolute discretion over the timing, amount, and conditions of all distributions.
Sole.
Absolute. I thought about Vivian's text.
So polished.
I thought about the place that was never set. I thought about Grandma's voice near the end. "One day you'll understand why I chose you. When that day comes, remember, you are not powerless." I wasn't ready to decide that night. But for the first time in 2 years, I stopped pretending the choice didn't exist. My grandmother had handed me a key. The only question was whether I would use it. Friday morning, November 29th, I woke with clarity. Not revenge, Grandma wouldn't have wanted that. But understanding. At 9 sharp, I called Margaret Caldwell. "Miss Mitchell," she said. "I was expecting your call. The deadline is Monday." "I know. Can we meet today?" A brief pause. 2 o'clock. Her office in Back Bay occupied a restored brownstone, polished brass and leather chairs. Margaret was 58, silver-haired, composed. She'd handled my grandmother's affairs for 2 decades. She poured coffee and laid out the paperwork. Let's review, she began. Your grandmother established the trust in March 2022, 8 months before her passing. It contains diversified assets, equities, bonds, and a rental property in Cambridge, currently valued just above $15 million. Vivian is the sole beneficiary, and I control the distributions. Yes. She tapped the highlighted clause. This level of authority is uncommon. Eleanor was explicit. She wanted you to determine the timing, the amounts, and any conditions attached. She told me she wanted Vivian to understand the worth of things. Margaret gave a slow nod. Your grandmother and I spoke often about both of you. She adored Vivian, but she worried. She believed Vivian had been sheltered, handed opportunities, praised endlessly, rarely asked to build resilience or appreciation. She believed money could teach her. More precisely, she believed you could. The money is simply the instrument. Margaret held my gaze. Eleanor said, Thora is the only one in that family with the backbone to say no and the compassion to say it gently. Those were her exact words. I looked down at the stack of papers, 47 pages of legal language, and buried inside them, my grandmother's faith. What choices do I have for this year's distribution? You have several. Margaret slid another document across the desk. You may approve a standard payout. Vivian currently qualifies for up to $200,000 annually. You can postpone it until next year. You may attach conditions, financial education, employment verification, coursework. Or you can restructure the schedule entirely. And if she challenges it, she can petition the court. But Eleanor's drafting was meticulous. Unless you act in bad faith or violate fiduciary duty, your authority is extremely difficult to overturn. Margaret leaned back slightly. Your grandmother invested heavily to ensure that. I thought of the Thanksgiving photo. The missing chair. The silver tea set that should have been mine. I'm not making a decision today, I said. But I need clarity before Monday. Of course. She gathered the papers, then paused. There's something else. Your grandmother left you a personal bequest outside the trust.
$52,000, unrestricted.
I believe you've used it for charitable contributions. The Beacon Hill Winter Charity Gala. I've donated the last 2 years.
Yes.
You're listed as a founding donor. She handed me an envelope. This arrived last week. Your invitation. I opened it. Thick cardstock, embossed lettering. Inside, a badge printed in gold. Thora Mitchell, founding donor. The gala was the following evening, Saturday, November 30th, Grand Ballroom at the Harrington Plaza. Black tie. 500 guests from Boston's financial and philanthropic circles. The same event where Vivian and Derek were making their social debut. I didn't realize the timing, I murmured. Margaret's expression remained composed, though something flickered behind it. Life has a curious way of presenting opportunities. For 2 years, I'd attended quietly, arriving late, leaving early, making my donation without drawing attention. I never wanted my family to know. I didn't want money to redefine how they saw me. But they already saw me as an embarrassment. Too ordinary for Thanksgiving. Too unimpressive for Derek Hartwell. Tomorrow night, I would enter the same room they did, with a badge they couldn't purchase. I'd like a follow-up meeting Monday morning, I said, before the deadline. Margaret smiled fully for the first time. I had a feeling you might. I stepped out into the cold November air, the badge tucked safely in my purse. For the first time in a decade, I felt entitled to walk into a room without shrinking. The doorbell rang at 4:23 p.m. on Friday. I wasn't expecting anyone. Through the peephole, my stomach dropped. My mother stood in the hallway, Vivian beside her, my father just behind them. Patricia's face carried urgency wrapped in entitlement, the expression she wore before issuing a demand. I opened the door. Thora. She swept inside without waiting. We need to discuss your grandmother's trust. I slid through me. They knew. How did you? Derek's financial advisor. Vivian cut in, stepping past me. He conducted a background review. Standard at his level. She said it as though violating my privacy was perfectly reasonable. Imagine my surprise when he mentioned a $15 million trust with your name attached. a trust one knew nothing about. My father entered last, closing the door softly behind him, already retreating into silence. You're the trustee? Vivian's voice rose. You? A teacher earning barely 50,000. 58. Whatever. She laughed sharply. This has to be wrong. Grandma wouldn't have put you in charge of anything significant. My mother lifted a hand to quiet her. Patricia Mitchell hadn't spent 30 years climbing social ladders without mastering timing. Thora, sweetheart, she said gently, the same tone she used when requesting money. Estate matters can be complicated, but we're family. These things should be handled together. You mean by you? I mean appropriately. She removed a folder from her purse. I've had paperwork drafted to transfer trusteeship to me. It's the most sensible solution. I have financial experience.
No.
The word landed clean and final. She blinked.
I'm sorry.
I won't sign anything. Thora, don't be unreasonable.
Grand-ma chose me.
My voice stayed steady, the way it did in front of difficult students. She had legal counsel, medical confirmation of competency, witnesses. The trust is properly executed. Vivian stepped forward, color rising in her cheeks. You don't understand money. You teach high schoolers about explorers. You take the bus. And you work at your boyfriend's firm because he arranged it. I watched her flinch. I know about the interview process. Or the lack of one. How dare? Enough. My mother's mask cracked. You're being selfish. This money is for Vivian's future, her wedding, her stability. Do you intend to sabotage your sister's happiness? I'm not sabotaging anything. I'm honoring Grandma's wishes. And those are to ensure the funds are used responsibly. The hallway walls were thin. Mrs. Patterson from 4B was likely listening. Vivian's voice dropped to a hiss. You're embarrassing us again. Like always. You embarrassed us at my engagement party in that department store dress. You would have embarrassed us at Thanksgiving. And now you're embarrassing us by pretending you can manage something beyond lesson plans. For years, I absorbed remarks like that. The digs at my clothes, my job, my existence. I thought of my grandmother's hand squeezing mine. You are not powerless. You need to leave, I said. Thora, my mother began. I'll be at the gala tomorrow night. The word surprised even me. If you want to discuss the trust, we can talk there. Vivian scoffed. You're not invited. Actually, I am. I retrieved the badge from my purse and held it up. Gold lettering against cream cardstock. Founding donor. I've contributed 50,000 over 2 years. They send me a VIP invitation annually. For the first time in my life, I watched my mother lose composure completely. That's impossible. They keep records. Vivian snatched the badge, staring at it. Where did you get $50,000? Grandma left me a separate bequest. I used it to support causes she cared about. Silence fell heavy and stunned. 32 years as the invisible daughter, and in half a minute, everything shifted. Patricia recovered first. We'll discuss this tomorrow then. We will. She turned toward the door, then paused. Think carefully, Thora. Family is everything. I know. I opened the door. That's why I spent 10 years trying to belong to one. They filed out. My father lingered briefly. Thora. Not now, Dad. He nodded and followed them. When the hallway fell quiet, my hands trembled, not from fear. Tomorrow night, I would walk into that ballroom. And for the first time, they would see me as I truly was. The Beacon Hill Winter Charity Gala filled the Harrington Plaza's Grand Ballroom, a space built to humble the average person and elevate the wealthy. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over 500 guests in tailored tuxedos and designer gowns. The minimum ticket donation was $2,000. Conversations floated through the air, investments, philanthropy, property portfolios. I arrived at 7:15 p.m., wearing a simple black dress I'd purchased on clearance for $200. But the badge pinned to my chest, founding donor, outshone every diamond in the room. The VIP entrance was separate. A staff member checked my credentials. Ms. Mitchell, thank you for your continued generosity. The board asked me to extend their appreciation. My grandmother believed in your mission, I replied. I accepted champagne and moved through the room, greeting staff who recognized my name from donor reports. Tonight, I wasn't hiding. At 7:32, I spotted them. My mother in emerald. My father stiff in a rented tux. Vivian luminous in silver, likely costing more than my monthly salary. Beside her stood Derek Hartwell, tall, composed, effortless confidence. They hadn't seen me yet. They were working the room, performing ambition. At 7:48, Derek noticed my badge. I saw it. The pause, the recalculation. He said something to Vivian. She glanced over and went pale. But he was already approaching, drawing her along. Excuse me. He extended his hand. Derek Hartwell. I wanted to personally thank you for your support of the foundation. Your contributions have been significant. Up close, he was polished, handsome in a predictable way. But his handshake was firm, his eyes intelligent. Thora Mitchell, I said. Recognition flickered. Mitchell, he repeated. As in Vivian's sister? Yes. He looked at Vivian. You told me you didn't know the founding donor. I didn't recognize her. The lighting. His tone cooled. Your sister has donated over $100,000 to an organization I support, and you didn't recognize her? Nearby, conversation slowed. My mother appeared at Vivian's side. Derek, have you seen the auction items? Mrs. Mitchell, he said evenly. I was thanking your daughter for her generosity. Thora. Patricia's smile faltered. She's been contributing $50,000 annually, Derek continued. That exceeds many VIP donors. I wasn't aware, Patricia murmured. Unaware your daughter is a major benefactor? His voice sharpened. I'm not often mentioned, I said quietly. Derek, Vivian whispered, gripping his arm. This is complicated. What's complicated? He asked. You told me you'd never met her. Before she could answer, another voice joined us. Thora, I didn't expect to see you tonight. Margaret Caldwell approached gracefully, acknowledging Derek with professional familiarity. Mr. Hartwell, always good to see you. Then to me, I trust we're still meeting Monday morning? There's much to finalize regarding the annual review. Derek's attention sharpened. Review. Ms. Mitchell is one of my most valued clients, Margaret said calmly. She oversees a substantial trust with impressive diligence. Eleanor made a wise decision. The air around us chilled. She manages the trust? Derek looked at Vivian. The trust you said was handled by the estate? Vivian searched for words and found none. I think, I said softly, you two have matters to discuss. Excuse me. I turned to leave. Ms. Mitchell, Thora. I looked back. The smooth confidence in his expression had cracked slightly. I apologize for any part one played in tonight's misunderstanding, and for whatever has been happening within your family. You had no idea? I asked. No, he said quietly. But I'm beginning to. He looked at Vivian with the unmistakable expression of someone realizing the person beside him wasn't who they claimed to be. I left them standing there, surrounded by 500 silent observers, and walked toward the bar. My hands didn't tremble. My heartbeat was steady. For the first time, I'd stood in a room my family revered, and they had been forced to truly see me. The tables hadn't simply turned. They'd been overturned completely. I found Margaret Caldwell near the silent auction display, studying a watercolor of the Boston skyline. Well, she said without glancing up, that was more eventful than I expected. I didn't orchestrate it. The most powerful confrontations rarely are. She faced me. After tonight, do you feel clearer about your decision? I thought about my grandmother's voice, about the Thanksgiving photo, without a place for me, about Vivian's face when Derek realized the truth. I'm deferring the distribution for 12 months. Margaret nodded, unsurprised. Your reasoning? Beneficiary readiness. Section 4.2 allows consideration of financial maturity in timing distributions. I want Vivian to complete a certified personal financial management course before receiving any funds. That falls squarely within your authority. She slipped a small notepad from her clutch. Anything further? I plan to be transparent with Derek Hartwell about the trust structure. Not to interfere in their relationship, but because major life decisions require full information. Reasonable. Transparency rarely harms those operating in good faith. And I'm not transferring the trustee role. I'll continue exactly as my grandmother intended. Margaret made a few quick notes. I'll have the paperwork prepared for Monday. The deferral can take effect immediately. Thank you. She studied me for a moment. Eleanor would be proud. Not because you're punishing your sister. You aren't, but because you're finally exercising the authority she entrusted to you. Before I could answer, Vivian approached alone. The silver gown no longer shimmered the way it had earlier. Are you satisfied? She demanded. Derek wants to reconsider everything. The engagement, the wedding. All of it. Because of you.
No, irrepliably.
Because of decisions you made. I just happened to be present when the truth surfaced. You've ruined my life. I corrected misinformation. If your future depended on that, that's not my burden. She struggled to steady herself. You've always envied me, because I'm successful and you're just a teacher. Vivian, I said softly, stepping closer. I'm not doing this to harm you. Grandma loved you. She wanted you to receive that money. But she also wanted you to grow into someone capable of managing it. I'm capable now. Then show it. Complete the course. Demonstrate responsibility. In 12 months, we revisit the distribution. Her face twisted. You're forcing me to earn my own inheritance. I'm honoring what she asked of me. You've never had to work for anything substantial. Maybe it's time you did. I hate you, she said, voice breaking. I really do. It should have hurt more. It didn't. My responsibility isn't to make you love me. It's to carry out Grandma's wishes. I'll do that whether you resent me or not. She stared at me, then turned and disappeared into the crowd. My mother found me next. You've gone too far, Patricia said, composure restored but fragile. Have I? You humiliated your sister. You interfered with her relationship. Families don't behave this way. Is banning someone from Thanksgiving because of their job what families do? I asked quietly. That was different.
How?
For once, she had no answer. I didn't come here to create conflict, I said. I attended because I was invited, recognized for contributions I've made quietly for years while being dismissed as an embarrassment. Tonight unfolded because truths were hidden. What do you want from us? She asked, and this time it sounded genuine. Respect, I said. Not because of money, because I'm your daughter. I've spent 32 years trying to earn a seat at your table. I'm finished chasing it. Either I belong as I am, or I don't belong at all. My father stepped closer. Tell her she's wrong. My mother urged him. He didn't look at her.
He looked at me.
She's right, he said, voice steadier than I'd ever heard it. We've treated you unfairly.
I saw it.
I did nothing. I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago. I couldn't trust myself to speak. I nodded. My mother glanced between us, calculating the shift she could feel, but not control. We should leave, she said at last. Yes, I agreed. We should. I left the gala at 10:47 p.m., stepping into the cold night air with my badge still pinned in place. The doorman called me Ms. Mitchell with genuine warmth. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt free. The consequences unfolded quickly. By Sunday morning, Derek told Vivian he needed space. By Monday afternoon, their engagement was on indefinite pause, never formally ended, but suspended in a way that spoke loudly. Their social circle absorbed the news with predictable speed. The polished couple had faltered. By Tuesday, Vivian's position at the firm became untenable. She wasn't dismissed outright. That would have been inelegant, but she was encouraged to pursue opportunities better aligned with her future. She cleared out her desk on December 3rd. My mother fielded concerned calls all week, friends inquiring sympathetically while fishing for details about the now infamous gala incident. The stories everywhere, Rachel told me Wednesday over coffee. I heard 3 different versions at the dentist yesterday. Something about a sister band from Thanksgiving who turned out to be a major donor. What's the common theme? I asked. That the so-called embarrassing daughter was the most impressive one in the room. The formal next step happened Monday morning at Margaret Caldwell's office. At 9:15 a.m., I signed the deferral documents. Precise language stated that distributions from the Eleanor Mitchell Irrevocable Trust to beneficiary Vivian Mitchell would be suspended for 12 months, contingent upon completion of an accredited personal financial management program. It wasn't punishment. It was standard fiduciary practice. For what it's worth, Margaret said as she notarized the final page, Eleanor would have done the same. She cared about growth. I hope Vivian understands that someday. She may. Time has a way of clarifying perspective. Margaret handed me the finalized file. One more thing. Derek Hartwell's assistant contacted my office. He'd like to meet privately.
No obligación.
He simply wants clarity. I'll think about it, I said. That afternoon, my father emailed me. 3 full pages. He apologized for decades of silence. Acknowledged my mother's treatment had been unfair. Admitted his complicity. He didn't ask for absolution. He asked for the chance to do better. I read it 3 times and saved it. Vivian texted on December 5th.
Fine.
I'll take the course. Don't expect gratitude. I replied. I'm not asking for gratitude. I'm asking for results. Good luck. 2 days later, Margaret confirmed her enrollment. Introduction to Personal Financial Management. 12 weeks, beginning January 15th. On December 8th, a society blog published an anonymous account of the gala, mostly accurate. It portrayed my family unflatteringly and described me as a quiet donor who emerged unexpectedly. I disliked the attention, but I couldn't deny the satisfaction of truth appearing in print. On December 10th, an email arrived from the Foundation's board inviting me to join their advisory council, citing my dedication and perspective as an educator. I read it at my small kitchen table after a long day teaching about the progressive era and social reform. Maybe the arc was bending, after all. December 21st, 4 days before Christmas. My apartment smelled of rosemary chicken and roasted vegetables. A pie cooled on the counter. We'd pushed the table against the wall to squeeze in 6 chairs. Rachel, 2 colleagues, Maria, and my father. Just my father. My mother had called twice asking to join. I declined gently. Not yet. How long? She asked. I'll let you know.
She didn't argue.
My father arrived at 5:30 carrying wine and quiet nervousness. In 10 years, he'd never visited my apartment. It's nice, he said, looking around. It feels like you. Thank you. Dinner was imperfect and warm. Rachel shared stories from our first year teaching.
Maria débattait Picrust technique passionately.
My colleagues complained about standardized testing. My father mostly listened, but when he spoke, it was thoughtful. At one point, he mouthed, "Thank you." I nodded. At 7:45 p.m., Vivian texted, "Merry Christmas." I'm trying. I showed my father.
She means it, he said.
The course is challenging, but she's working. That's good. She asked if you'd forgive her. Forgiveness isn't the issue, I said after a pause. Trust is, and that takes time. He nodded. I replied to Vivian, I see that. Merry Christmas. Not forgiveness. Not closeness. Just acknowledgement. After everyone left and Rachel finished helping with dishes, I sat alone beneath the Christmas lights in my window. The past month had taught me what I should have known long ago. Boundaries aren't cruelty. They're protection. Refusing unfair treatment isn't selfish. It's necessary. You can love people and still decline to accept harm from them. My grandmother had known that. She'd given me the means to defend myself and trusted I would find the courage eventually. You are not powerless. She had been right. I accepted the advisory council invitation, not for prestige, but because it aligned with who I was. I would keep teaching. Not because I lacked alternatives, but because it mattered. Because when students like Marcus Thompson wrote powerful essays or Jasmine Reyes asked sharp questions, I remembered why I chose this path. My so-called blue-collar career was never the issue. The issue was people who equated worth with wealth. I emailed Derek Hartwell's assistant that evening. I agreed to meet for coffee somewhere neutral. Whatever decision he made about his future would be informed by truth. Before bed, I looked again at the Thanksgiving photo. The 4 smiling faces, the absence where I should have been. I didn't delete it. It wasn't my reality anymore. It was evidence of a version of my family that ended the moment I stopped accepting invisibility. If you ask whether I regret any of it, the answer is simple.
No.
I only wish I had done it sooner.